Welcome, everyone, and thank you for tuning in to Peace in a Pod special edition called Thoughtful Thursday. I'm Loretta with my co-host Ryaire, and today we have two guests joining us. Please welcome Annalia and Nicolette. So today I was thinking of changing things up a bit and kind of doing an open panel, open discussion to get a little more perspective from Annalia, Nicolette, and Ryaire. And speaking of openings, today I want to focus on opening your heart. Trying to find a place where you can be receptive to love, express love, practice love, just kind of not chase it, but open yourself to receive it. So several years ago, before I met my husband, I felt like I was ready for love. I was dating, and not saying that every person I dated I thought was my potential husband, but I was really feeling like I'm ready. I thought I was ready, but I feel that my heart wasn't ready. And I cleared out space in my apartment. I cleared out dressers, the nightstand. I had two nightstands. I'm like, two of everything, one for him, one for me. So whenever he comes, it's ready for him to move in. I had closet space available and nothing. I'm like doing candle rituals. I'm all over the place trying to bring my man. Yeah. And nothing was working. So I was just like, I don't understand. What is the holdup? I feel like I'm ready. But I think God, the universe, whoever wasn't believing that I was ready. And one day, my cat showed up at my door. And once he came into my life, I love that little guy. He has brought so much joy and happiness into my life. And I feel like me being able to express my love to my cat opened my heart the way it needed to be open, to receive love, to give love. And I think in order for us to actually be ready to love, to give love, to receive love, you have to open your heart. And you have to open your heart wholeheartedly. And not everyone is to that point. So if you feel like you can't find your person, maybe your heart isn't as open as you think it is right now. And there's some steps that we probably should look at as far as how we can get to that point. I'm thinking having a pet, maybe a plant, something that you can care for and genuinely love will prepare you for the person that you're waiting for.
I guess when people think about love or talk about love, it's just love. But love comes with challenges. Love comes with learning the person. Sometimes we're triggered by the person. So we don't open our hearts to receive love because of all the extras that come with it. Mm-hmm. And that's one thing that I'm learning about myself. Yes, I want all the good feelings, but I don't want the big irritated and having to learn somebody and having to get over the curve or the hump to us finally saying, okay, we're in a good place. Yeah. So, oftentimes it looks like, to love and to be ready to receive love is take a look at yourself. Because 9 times out of 10, you're going to date somebody as a reflection of you. Mm-hmm. If you're not in a good spot, you're going to attract somebody that's, pretty much that feeds that thing that probably needs to be worked on. Yeah. So that's one of the things for me is just making sure that I'm in a good spot, but also challenging myself when we're talking about love, like actually putting myself out there because that's what it takes. Like you're going to have to go through and overcome and learn and then get to that spot where you like, okay, this is a thing that's worth it. So having something like a pet or having something like a plant, something that you care for, something that comes with certain challenges, something that pushes you, I think that would be a thing that really, really open you up for the ground of love to actually come into your life.
Yeah. I also believe like not focusing on love itself, but just living your life. finding that joy, finding things that make you happy. Just go and live your happiest life. Do the things that bring a smile to your face. And when you're in that place of joy, people are gravitated to that happiness. And when you exude happiness, people they want a piece of that.
Yeah.
People want to be around happy people. So if you like to go, let's say, hiking, you're out there hiking, maybe not being all sweaty and whatnot, but, but, if that's your thing, you're just enjoying life, you're hiking, you're doing those active things that bring a smile to your face. Your person could be up there at the top of the mountain. You never know.
Putting yourself in environments, like the things that align with you, putting yourself in those type of environments. If you like to hike, if you like to go to the gym, you're likely to find somebody that is compatible with you based off of the interests that you guys have. Yeah. Once you start to isolate yourself and then talk about, the love that you want to receive. How do you even know how this person is going to be with you because you've been isolated so much? Put yourself in those places so you could, connect with like-minded people, connect with people that already have those interests rather than, talking to somebody through social media or whatever the case may be. Like, that is not a good enough common ground. Like, you got to get out here and put yourself in the places in order to kind of receive that love, or, if you're open to it, to put yourself in the environment, because you never know what it's going to be.
Yeah. Yeah. And something you said earlier about, not focusing on love itself. I think some people, they try to force certain situations with people that they may be dating. I like to think about the 80-20 rule. If someone has 20% of what you're looking for, but you have someone else that has 80% of what you're looking for, but there's something about that 80%er that you're like, oh, this just annoys the heck out of me. And you decide to go with the 20%er. Now you've cheated yourself out of the majority of the things that you are looking for in a partner. So you don't want to get caught up in, let's say, looks. Looks are definitely important. Attraction is key. Attraction is key. Yes. How about we change this? Instead of looks, let's just say materialistic things. This person has a very nice car, very nice clothes, but they talk down to women. And you don't want to settle for someone just because they have the materialistic part that you're like, oh, I'd like to, have a nice car too. I'd like for him to dress me up nice as well. So you're cheapening yourself for the 20% rather than going with someone who's going to actually treat you well and give you the things that your heart actually needs. Yeah. So you don't want to fall for the 20 over the 80.
I just look at it like, I don't want to say you are what you attract, but oftentimes we connect with people who feed our dysfunctions. Yeah. So, that's good enough for us because it's like, okay, yeah, it comes with a little arguing, but outside of the fact that we argue, we connect. And when we do connect, it's a good thing. And then we emphasize what that good thing is and then turn a blind eye to the fact that y'all are arguing 80% of the time. It's just that connection when things are good. So self-work before you decide that you want to get into these relationships. Self-work before you decide that, you want to take on a responsibility of someone else's feelings, because at that point it stopped becoming just only about yourself. Like, it's two people that you have to care after. So, that's something to think about too.
Yeah, that's very true. Because I was gonna say, when I got out of a situation, what helped me, not only my cat, but also just journaling. I'm big on writing, and you do have to look within, like you said, Loretta, and just, especially the parts that you don't want to, like, maybe your friend made a told, hey, this is something you need to work on. Sometimes it's easy to isolate yourself for a small amount of time to figure out what do you need to work on to attract that person that you like. Yeah. Because the person that you want is sometimes not the person that you need. Exactly. And it's temporary. It's not for long term. And I'm all for long term.
Yes.
And you have to be comfortable with being alone before you try to go find a partner. If you're just running around like I need a companion because you don't want to be lonely, then you're at it for the wrong reasons.
You searching for anything at that point.
You're in desperate mode.
Yeah.
It's even with friendships too, because like I had to learn how to be alone because I would go to like band camp, for instance, and I would get left out because the people that I knew were friends with each other, but I wasn't as close to them. And I would just get real sad and upset. But then it was like, okay, I need to learn how to be alone and be by myself and do things by myself. So as an adult, like now I'm able to do that, which makes me feel like I'm setting myself up more and more for an open relationship, because if you don't like to spend time by yourself, nobody would.
Who else would want to
like,
spend time?
Who wants to spend time with you? If you're miserable
Right.
being by yourself in alone time, then like I love my alone time now.
Yeah. And that can be so unhealthy in relationships too. If you like operate out of having like a codependency on somebody,
yes.
You know, because I think that a healthy relationship is, you know, you guys have your own thing that y'all do.
Yeah.
You know, and if you get so to the point where like I need you to be around this, that, and the third, like all the time, I think that causes a little bit of dysfunction because you need to have your own things. I need to have my own things. I need to have my space.
Yes.
You know?
I completely agree. I even agree with like I know some couples and like marriages or relationships, they have separate rooms when they live together. Even that, like having your own little space to go to. Like my dad has his little man cave. My mom has her office space at their house that they can just wind down in their own time. And everything. Because the codependency thing, like I've seen it in like past friendships I've had where they just completely isolate themselves and it's them and their partner. They don't need to hang out with their friends or anything. And then guess what? They get into it. They start fighting. Who you run into? No one. Because you don't have anyone because you pushed everybody out because you're so dependent on your partner. But and it's toxic in a way, low-key.
Yes.
But it's good to be aware that you need to have time alone to yourself and you need to learn how to love yourself enough to love spending time just taking yourself out on your own dates, journaling, for instance, just finding a hobby.
Yeah, I agree.
So last year was just a very much like failed relationship type year for me. I labeled it the year of crash outs because I let people get me out of my element. And let things get to me. But now in these last few months I'm single and I feel like I am ready, but I am not actively searching because I decided to, you know, just let it go, let God handle it, because I genuinely do believe that God will eventually bring me my person in when he thinks I'm ready, because even though I may think I'm ready, I'm probably not.
Like we always think that we're ready for a lot of things,
and we're not. And it's humbling when you try to force things and it just completely backfires. And I do have to remind myself that rejection is redirection, because maybe like, okay, this relationship failed and didn't go the way I wanted it to. That means that person was just probably not my person, or like there's things that need to be worked on, and don't be so upset over it, because again, it's just redirection to the right path.
Right. I think patience is a virtue. You don't want to rush into anything and end up settling or just being unhappy. So you just want to kind of give yourself some time, love yourself, find the things that make you happy, and just open yourself to be receptive to love.
I mean, yeah, I agree, because when it comes to settling, it's like it's never good for you or the other person. Coming from experience, I was dating this guy and he was everything right, but it's just there were little things he would do or say that kind of made me like be like, ah. And then it's just a lot of things that made me realize, okay, do I actually like him, or is it just a nice treatment? Like, he helped me move, he met my parents really liked him, really bonded with my dad well, but it was just everything like, no, I don't know, I don't think this is what's for me, this is what I'm wanting.
I think everyone can like the person you're with, but the question is, do you like the person that you're with?
Literally. And that's what I was telling myself. I was really having to sit on this, and I'm like, normally when I really like a guy or anyone, like it's just like it's right there for me. I don't have to really do any critical thinking with it. And it felt very unnatural, and like as the weeks progressed towards me ending and breaking it off, I just like started wanting to be around him less to see if like that's a difference, if there's a missing. And I remember we would have date night scheduled every single Wednesday night. And one night I would always have to technically like plan my dates because it's like give him an idea of what I wanted to do or whatever. And I remember I waited the week before to see, hey, like, is he gonna just spontaneously already have something planned, or is he gonna know? Didn't say anything about us hanging out on Wednesday, and we didn't.
Oh wow!
And so I was just like, okay, cool.
That is you. So you were dating yourself.
I was just gonna say that.
I was just like, okay, cool. But like, I wasn't complaining because I did a lot of cool things. Like, I went kayaking for the first time because of him. I got taken on a float trip for my birthday and everything. But then the downside of that was the fact that it was my birthday float trip, but I only brought one person I knew, which I barely even knew the girl because it was like I was working with her. Oh. But he brought his friends, like his friend and their girlfriend, and then his roommate, and like his brother and his girlfriend. So it was just like me surrounded. Like I've met the brother, I hadn't met his girlfriend yet. I've met the roommate, obviously, but like I was just surrounded by people I didn't know.
That's an interesting way to spend your birthday.
But hey, did I have fun? Yes, I did. I really did, and I did a lot of things that I never really done. Our dates were fun. Mm-hmm. It was normally like my idea. Like I would be like, oh, I want to do something fun. Okay, he would take me go-kart racing at this place that like the go-karts go really fast. You want to do something creative, have fun, an actual date night, art museum, dinner. Like I would choose the spot.
So he didn't suggest any of the...
No, it's just like he would try, and then I would just be like, no, let's shoot for something else, or like let's think. It's like, what do you want to do? And then it went from there. Yeah, definitely was settling for. I felt okay because it's just like it was cool and all, and it was convenient because he did live closer to work, to my job. So like spending the night, spending time with him was easier to commute and stuff. But like he was a really nice guy, but he was just not the guy for me.
Yeah, didn't sound like it.
The piece of advice that I have for anybody that's dating and actually opening their heart to receive is to actually have communication and be intentful with their relationship. Mm-hmm. Like voice what you want, voice what your expectations are. I think that when we don't do that, when we're talking about seriously dating, we just only put ourselves back in those patterns that we're used to. Mm-hmm.
Well, we don't want to, like you say, we don't want to waste time, our time or someone else's time. I mean, if you're not serious about taking the relationship further, then that I do feel and agree with you that it should be discussed straight up. Yeah. Like if you see long term that your future is to potentially be married, I'm not saying that this is something that needs to be discussed on the first date, but I think within the first couple dates that should be stated. Like, hey, I don't want to waste your time. I don't want you to waste my time. But at some point, I would like to be married, or I would like to have a family, and not just date for, 3, 4, 5 years,
Yeah, I agree, because it's just like, I think, especially in my generation, people fall short on stating intentions right away. And then when they do state their intentions, a lot of, especially like, my problem was I was too scared to state exactly what I wanted. I would kind of let the other person in the relationship go first on what they wanted and then piggyback off of that. And it would just settle for whatever they agreed with, because I didn't want to seem like difficult or like anything. And so I'm just settling and not going for what my morals and standards are in a relationship. And so I feel like people fall short in that end, and it just wastes both of y'all's time. And then at the end of it, tail end of it, you're unhappy because you're not actually getting what you want. You're not actually voicing what you want to say. But like, I feel like now in present day, a lot of people lack communication in the dating pool of my age range. And it's very frustrating because people they're not really strong in emotional intelligence is the best way to explain it. So interacting with somebody who's on a different level of their emotional intelligence is very frustrating in a way. But, like, you also have to think, and it all ties into just communicating how you feel right then and there.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Just be direct.
Yeah. So I dated this guy when I first moved to where I'm at, and obviously this was several years ago. And he we weren't compatible. It was more like I met him through some friends, and he was just like, I like you. And I was like, okay. And he was like, no, but I like you. And I was just like, okay. It wasn't mutual, but I was just like, you know what? I'm new to the area. Let me just give this guy a chance. So I kind of didn't really stick to my standards and things that I was looking for in a guy. I found out the hard way. And so I'm like, okay, you know what? Yeah, we could go out. So he was like, oh, what do you like? So I told him, hey, I don't like Tex-Mex type of Mexican food. I think it's salty, not my style. I prefer seafood. And he's like, okay. So he sets up a date. And the night of the date, I reach out to him because I hadn't heard from him that whole day. I'm like, hey, are we still going out? And he's like, oh yeah, I didn't know like if that was still a go because I hadn't heard from you. And I'm like, well, I haven't heard from you, but yeah, we're still supposed to be going out. And he's like, oh, okay. So I met him at a mutual spot and rode with him to the restaurant. And he's like, hey, so do I need to go to an ATM or, and I'm very confused because it's not the type of person I typically date. Usually people have like a card, whether it's a debit or a credit card, one or the other. So I was just like, well, that depends on how you want to pay because you're the one who wanted to go on the date. So I'm expecting the first date to be paid by him.
Yeah.
And so he stops at the ATM and he's like, well, how much do I need to get out? Look, hey, buddy, that's up to you. So then I'm asking, well, where are we going? And he's like, oh, well, there's this Mexican restaurant. And I'm like, dude,
Clearly wouldn't listen.
do you not listen? So the whole communication thing just made me think about that date. And needless to say, that date was just a one and done.
Yeah.
But when we get to the restaurant, instead of him like going to reach to get the door, because I think chivalry is very important, not just dating, but like I think chivalry should be something that still exists to this day. So the guy gets behind me instead of like to go open the door. So that irritated the heck out of me. At that point, I'm already like bothered at the fact that he didn't even know how to pay for the date. And then when we get to the door, he didn't even open the door. So it was like, okay. And we get inside. I just tell the lady, like, we'll take a booth. And I start trying to get to know him a little better. I'm just like, I don't want to like cancel him out too soon. Let me just trying to give the benefit of the doubt. So we start talking and I kind of asked him a little bit of like some of the things that he likes to do. And then he had mentioned that his dad lived in Colorado or something. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, oh, that's interesting. And then he was like, yeah, but I'm kind of, afraid of heights. So I kind of wish I would have stayed with him a little longer. And I'm like, oh, okay. Well, you going to do like some balloon rides, like hot air balloons or like skydiving? What you trying to get into? And he's like, no. I was just living at the high elevation. And I'm like, wait, what? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I was just totally like, that's not how you get over fear of heights. It's interesting, but that's not how you get over fear of heights. So things are adding up at this point. I got a whole checklist of things that I'm just already bothered by. And we haven't even ordered food. So the fact
free me.
So the fact that he brought me to a Tex-Mex restaurant, I was already bothered by that. So I ended up getting like some shrimp enchiladas. So I still got somewhat of my seafood fix. But then he mentioned like doing shots at the bar. And I was just like, it's like 7:30. I don't do shots at dinner, but okay, if that's your jam, then go ahead, man. And after that, he didn't get the shot, but after that, he mentioned that they had a military discount. And for those who know from previous episodes, I was in the military, recently retired, and some places honor military discounts. He wanted to use yours. He was going to use me as a coupon. That's tough. And I was like, at this point, this date is done. What? I ate my food and I was ready to go home.
Earlier, she mentioned something about like dating someone that is like, I don't know, I think she said something like emotionally mature. I think that intellectually, you have to be dating somebody that is compatible in those areas of things, because that will drive you insane.
Yeah.
Like the people who don't really put the thought into things, you know, that could, you know, that's some, you don't want to tread those waters.
No.
That's crazy.
Yeah, there has
So
to be
he
some
banked on your discount.
No, because I didn't even reach for my purse.
Oh.
I
Okay.
was not. No, you paying full price for me, buddy.
Okay.
Yeah. So that was probably the worst date I've had. Well, besides the guy that told me he was married.
Yeah, that
one was pretty bad.
A lot.
That was a second date. He got a second date out of that one.
Okay, I was about to ask, was it the first date?
No.
That's
I just asked him on the second date, like, hey, so why are you still single? And he was just like, well, I never said I was single.
I think that should be one of the first questions. That should be a first date question, because I actually dated a married man and I did not know it. That's one of my no's.
Yeah.
I don't date married men.
Well, married men like to date single women is the problem.
Oh my
And
God.
they
I
like
dated
to
that man
hide
for
that.
a full year.
Oh,
It was a year. Like his wife lived in Baltimore, and he was here.
So he was available.
Yes.
He was available.
But a year in our relationship, he called me and was like, hey, my wife is in town. We can't do this anymore. And I was like, what do you mean your wife? And I like, he was like, I was going to tell you. And I'm like, it's a whole year in. Like, when were you going to tell me? Like, I feel like that should be on the list of questions on the first date.
Communication.
We shouldn't even got to this point.
We shouldn't have got to this point.
This should have been
Yes.
when you were texting me to hang out. Let's discuss. See, I mean, I'm not gonna put other people's business out there, but I've known people who have dated knowing that they're married or whatever, because allegedly they're separated. But my thing is, I would never date a man until that divorce is finalized.
Yeah.
Because there's always, especially if there's kids involved, there's always a chance that he will go back to fix his family, to be there.
And
whatever.
I think someone who's newly out of a relationship needs time to heal.
And that was
you can't just jump right into the next one and the next one.
Yeah, that was the thing with the guy, like, I kind of settled for. That also is one of the reasons why I was thinking, like, okay, do I like him? Because he just got out of a relationship that he'd been with his partner for 5 years. What's crazy is I worked with her. She was my coworker, and she cheated on him with another one of my coworkers. And I accidentally, like, snitched to him, but it wasn't me. It was, like, my friend told him, like, made a fake account and everything, but I was the one that told my friend what was going on. And so, like, that's the whole ordeal. But, like, 3 months later, he's already out dating, and he took me, like, the thing is, like, we communicated well. First date was a sushi date, because my little profile said I like sushi. And so, like, it was good and all, but, like, then it's just, like, when I broke it off, he was like, yeah, I mean, I do need to, like, I don't think I'm ready for anything, like, super serious too, so that's, like, da-da-da, and I was like, okay, great, mutual breakup at this point, but it's also, like, you should have healed longer. Especially with being cheated on, that does a lot to the human mind, in my opinion. And so, like, especially for how long he had been with her, like, that plays a huge factor. Like, you need time to breathe, learn how to be by yourself. You don't have to always be in a relationship. Like, people who think like that drive me insane.
So, with all the stories of the guys, it makes me think about women need to use their discernment when we're talking about, like, these relationships with these guys. Because oftentimes we enter things, or we have a shallow mindset of, like, why I like this person. Yeah. And then we let the guy hijack the situation. Yeah. So if they're giving a little bit of something, we don't feel the need to communicate, because either that thing is good enough, or that thing could potentially be exactly what I want it to be. And then we sit back and we don't say anything. Like, you allow them to hijack the situation to where, you're not expressing your boundaries, you're not expressing your emotions, like you're taking the back seat because this is what he's saying, but his actions aren't showing it, or his actions are showing something, and we're turning a blind eye because, oh, he has this nice car, or he looks good, or whatever the case may be. Use that discernment. I had a situation when I was dealing with somebody, and I think that I entered it with a little bit of delusion, and I liked this person a lot. And I liked them because they were cool. Okay. And I fed into a lot of things that, like, a lot of activities that they liked. And I was like, oh, because you like them, I was a listening ear to it. And then as time went on and we started to discuss things, I'm like, oh, it ain't too much compatibility here. Yeah. Like, I let you hijack this thing because I came into this thing with delusion of, I like you. It can't just be the basis of simply just liking somebody, right? Because you'll end up being too far, and now you have to either separate yourself, or you're dealing with some type of heartbreak, or you're dealing with some type of feelings that you have to process after that situation is over. Don't let nobody hijack the situation. Use your communication skills. If something doesn't make you feel comfortable, say it doesn't make you feel comfortable. Or if you're talking to somebody and you have curiosity about something, ask that question. Don't not ask that question because you feel like, oh, it's like it's too early to ask these things, or it's too early to commute. No, you want to talk to me, I want to talk to you. What's going on? And if you don't feel like you want to answer that question, then I don't know why they don't want to communicate. Yeah. Simple.
You need to know who you're dealing with.
Yes.
And the only way to know is to ask.
Yes.
You need to get to know them.
Yes.
So when you were talking about, like, I used to be a people pleaser very, very early when I first started dating. And I lost myself. I didn't even know who I was. I didn't know what I liked. And I think the whole taking time for yourself, getting to know you, loving you, doing the things that make you happy, help you discover you and the things that you enjoy in life. And as long as you, and you mentioned this, Annalia, as long as you have things that you enjoy, like you solo, I feel like you will be able to combine your likes as well as the other person's likes and compromise, which is important in relationships. And both of you do the things that you enjoy and not it be one-sided. You're just doing what he likes or what she likes, and somebody's unhappy. So if you can find a happy median, then I think that would be the best approach. But definitely taking time to discover you as a person and the things that you enjoy, so that you don't put yourself in a position where you end up being a people pleaser and end up unhappy or with unanswered questions and too deep in.
Yeah, because I myself was a people pleaser. Or like, I was the type of person when I was younger, like 18, and like in high school especially too, where I would just morph myself into the person that I thought that person would want me to be. Like, I didn't have any self-identity or anything like that. And it was just not healthy, like mentally at all, because it's just like not knowing who you are is a very not good thing to have in life, especially when you're growing up, and especially in high school when I was a senior. Not knowing, having any like self-identity wasn't good, because I'm supposed to be figuring out the early stages of what I'm supposed to be doing in adulthood, and I don't even know who I am. Like, I am whoever this person I'm talking to wants me to be. And it just made me incredibly insecure to where I didn't like myself, and I was always jealous and envy of other people because they were secure with themselves, but I wasn't, and everything. And it drove me like to a point to where I was just like, it was depressing. It was sad. It was miserable. And I promised myself the day that I changed and worked on myself, I would never be like that. And I haven't, because it's just like being secure with yourself. And it's really hard to let that go once you gain that stability with yourself and the way you think and your thought process. So it's like when I see other people who are struggling with the battle of they don't have any self-identity, it's just very, in my mind, when I was that person, I was so fake. I was not genuine. I was not a true person. Yeah. And now I've been told that I'm really genuine and everything now. And then I just always remember there's a point in time I wasn't like that. Yeah. At all. And it's just like, it's sad to see other people go through that process. And I always just like pray and I hope like maybe they can hopefully get out of that process soon. because losing yourself is hard, and it's hard to get yourself back.
Yeah. So, Nicolette, you mentioned earlier about journaling.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that is key with self-discovery and knowing who you are. Because if you don't, how can you tell someone the things that you like if you don't know? So if you just kind of, jot down some of the things that you enjoy in life and just kind of get those thoughts out there and those things that you feel make you happy, even if it's just journaling. I mean, you like writing. Mm-hmm. So I do feel that that is key in opening yourself up, opening that heart up so where you can receive and give love, because you have to know who you are as a person for them to know who you are.
It made me think about this, like if you ever went into an interview and they say, tell me something about yourself.
I used to hate that question.
And you hesitate. And then after you leave, you probably think about all the questions that they ask you. And then you think, oh, I should have said this or I should have said that. Like, think about like when you're trying to find yourself or you don't really know like what you're, I don't know, like you really trying to find your identity and things. And like, think about that question. Like, tell me a little bit about yourself. Yeah. You should be able to communicate that with somebody that you're talking to. Like, tell me something about yourself. Oh, this is what I like to do. I like this. I go here. I do that. Like, you should be so sure when you're entering that field of dating. Like, you should be able to answer that question. And I went into a lot of interviews and I'm translating over to dating, but I've been in a lot of interviews when they say, tell me about yourself. And I'm like, I don't know. My name is such and such, and I'm from such and such. Like, that's all I got. And then it made me think, like, how have I been trying to identify the things about myself so I can live in those things? Like, and I think that that's a reflection of relationships too. If you don't know what your identity is when you're dealing with somebody, you end up allowing them to hijack it, or like you just conform to what they like to do and you just take the back seat and you just don't say anything. And you try to find happiness in that. Not that you don't try to find happiness in it. You try to find happiness in whatever that thing is, and then you get stuck. Yeah. It may work. Sometimes it may not work.
Yep. You just get emotionally stuck in everything, and then you get frustrated, and it's a lot.
Yep. I was thinking about something earlier when she mentioned how she's allowing, God to be the leader of her relationships. And, if she runs into that person, is because it's God. And I'm a person that reads the Bible. And one thing that they talk about, or one type of love that they talk about in the Bible, is agape love, which is encompasses all. It's like, love is joy, love is peace, love is, all the things. And, in a worldly point of view of things, we have adopted or taken on whatever this love is and branched it off into 5 different categories. Like if someone love language is gift giving and the person that you're in a relationship with isn't fulfilling that thing of gift giving, then you're pretty much, your love is conditional. If you aren't fulfilling that thing of gift giving, then it's no way that you can love me.
So I was thinking the other day, just like you said. So I used to say that my love language was just physical touch, but just thinking about it, like my love language is so much more. I like to cuddle. I like personal time, like doing things. So I do feel like you can't just limit it to one particular love language, because then you do rule a lot of people out of your life. If maybe they can't afford gifts, it should be the time that you spend with a person and getting to know.
There's a lot that goes into love, and just like the 5 love languages. And I feel like with my generation, especially, one thing that is not translated well is that a lot of people think that they're loving, but in reality it's less. And like going off of the Bible, lust is a sin, and we want a very godly, like strong foundation with a lot of our relationships now in this generation. But it's worldly, because it's just like there's less an infatuation. It's not actual genuine love shared between people. It's just the idea of it, they're not actually doing what is love, not caring for the person, not doing small things, little acts or whatever. To be loved is to be seen. They're not seeing their partner. I don't know how to better word that, but it's just people think that, oh yeah, I'm doing right by the Lord, especially, or doing right by this, and in reality, it's not. It's what they think. It's like, I don't know how to explain it. It's word. Oh my god,
Worldly.
worldly. I don't know how I can say it, but it's just like I said. Lust is a power struggle for a lot of people, and it's sad to see that a lot of people don't even realize that it's lust that they're involving themselves with. It's not actual love, and opening up your heart is realizing the difference between both, and knowing how to display love, but it not be in a realm of, oh, the love languages, this is what I need to learn their love language and need to show love through this. No.
Right.
But I also would say that, because you may receive love a different way that I receive love. And if I give that to my partner how I want to receive love, that's not necessarily how they will receive it. So just because you're doing those things that, oh, what I'm doing is why you're not happy. You're not learning. You have to get to know your partner to know what they like in order for them to see the love that you're trying to give them.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't take that into consideration when they, I want to get in a relationship. This is what I like. I know how to be in this, but they steady having failed relationships after failed relationships, and they wonder why. But it's not. You have to get to know the partner for individually. Like, everybody is not the same. You can't love this person the way you love the person you was with previous.
Right.
I think that's why, like, love shouldn't be forced, because sometimes when we say that we're ready, I'm ready. So now everything has to conform to me and how I feel. And if I love in this particular way, and I think that the love that I have is a good type of love, then the person that I'm trying to love, obviously they're going to receive it because I'm doing all of the things. You can't put restrictions on love. Like, when we're talking about like love languages, yes, it is important to know in what ways to connect with your partner. But when you say love language, it puts a limitation, because when we were talking about love earlier, love makes you do all of the things. Like, I'm a give because I care about you and I see you enough, and I see, like, you mentioned that you want this thing, so I'm going to get it. Or like, I see that, you get a little anxiety when you do this. Maybe you need somebody to come touch your back. You get what I'm saying? Like, in a relationship, it can't just simply be about me, because I'm the one that's ready to, be the lover or, do the loving. Like, it can't just be about you. And you have to recognize that, like, what type of partner you have, the type of stuff that they like, the places that they like to go. You have to pay attention, because it's not just all about yourself. Like, you're not the only person in the relationship.
Right.
Yeah.
There's definitely a give and take.
It's a two-way streak. It can't be all one-sided, and that's even in friendships too. It's like, you have to work together and build a foundation together in order to keep the relationship strong and healthy. Gotta communicate through it and everything, and you really have to genuinely just learn about each other, but you also have to learn about yourself.
Exactly.
Because with everything, there's still growth with yourself. With any relationship that you're in, you don't need to, okay, you went on a self-growth journey, okay, cool, now you got the relationship you're wanting. That doesn't mean to stop the self-growth journey. It means that you're now growing with your partner.
And every day we're a different person than we were yesterday. Every day we learn something, even if we realize it or not. And that's Bello. Every day we need to make sure we put in the work on ourselves and not just our partners or trying to find love.
And just having a partner that challenges you to be better. You know, like, if you started your self-work, you need to be really dealing with somebody that's actively doing the self-work too. Like,
I literally just made a post yesterday saying, like, not yesterday, the day before or whatever, but basically saying, like, do not let others shame you for wanting to do better for yourself. And if the person around you is not being supportive and you wanting to do better, they're not the person that should be involved in your life. And I firmly believe that, because my thing is, I'm the type of person, I want to see everybody around me win. I want to see everybody achieve what they want to achieve. And especially in a relationship, I want my partner to win, because that's a win for both of us, technically. Not to be, like, in a selfish way, but it's like, if they're winning and doing in life what they want to do and they're happy and everything, that means that they're bringing positive energy into your relationship,
Yeah.
positive energy into your home and everything. And it just bounces off of each other. And that's a big thing. So if you are not willing to be supportive with your partner and letting them grow, or vice versa, it's not going to go well. And you're going to just be in the same spot and position you are then because you don't feel the support. And that's even with family, that's with friends, that's really with everyone, because, you know, love is all around. It's not just in a relationship.
Right.
But love also comes from said support of growth.
So I'll say this. Be with someone that will take care of you, not materialistically, but take care of your soul, your well-being, and your heart. Thank you for tuning in to Peace in a Pod special edition called Thoughtful Thursday. I'm Loretta with co-host Ryaire and our special guests, Annalia and Nicolette. Thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you next time. Thanks again for tuning in to Peace in a Pod. If you enjoyed this episode, please like, follow, or subscribe. And also, if you know someone else that would enjoy it, please share it with them. Thanks for tuning in. Bye-bye.